Imagine a zombie that doesn't just hunt you. Imagine one that watches you, learns from you, and then quietly tells every other zombie in the building exactly where you're hiding. The director who gave us Train to Busan is back, and this time he's changed the rules completely. His new film, Colony, locks you inside one enormous tower in the heart of Seoul. A bioterror attack breaks out on an ordinary afternoon, and the whole building is sealed off so nothing can escape. But the infected aren't alone in there. A handful of survivors are trapped with them. Outside, scientists race for a cure. Can they win before the city falls? Let's find out together.
It starts with a phone call to the Seoul Counterterrorism Squad. The caller is Dr. Soo Young-chol, a former researcher at a company called Chains Bio. He warns them a bioterror attack is about to happen at the Doongwoori building during a Chains Bio conference. Then he says something stranger. He's already tested the virus on his own body, which makes him the only vaccine in existence. The conference belongs to Chains Bio's chief executive, Kang Woo-chol. Among the guests are Professor Han Kyu-sung and his ex-wife, Professor Kwon Se-jeong. She's brilliant, but since the divorce, she's pulled away from her career entirely, while Han has moved on with a new wife and daughter. Both received invitations, so they walk in together. Kang's lecture is about collective intelligence, about how living things share information without speaking a word. Halfway through, he thinks he spots an old scientist from his company in the crowd. He blinks, and the face is gone. Afterward, Han brings Se-jeong forward to introduce her. And here's the strange part. Kang himself sent her that invitation, yet he has no idea who she is. Before she can explain, the police call to warn him, and he steps out. Se-jeong follows, sees Young-chol slipping into Kang's office, assumes he's busy, and turns back. Inside that office, years of anger come due. Young-chol built something remarkable. Kang praised it, hired him, stole the research, and threw him out. And now he's presenting that same work under his own name. So Young-chol injects the virus straight into him. Kang shoves him inside, locks the door, and stumbles out. Then the foam starts pouring from his mouth. He turns, and he tears into everyone he can reach. Everyone he bites begins turning too.
Downstairs, nobody knows. Se-jeong and Han are having lunch, and he tells her he's moving to America for a university post. His wife, Gong-sul-hee, calls while they're sitting there. He wants the two women to speak, but Se-jeong refuses. When the call ends, she asks him quietly why he ever married her. He says it was her stubbornness. He loved it then, he still does. He just couldn't live with it. At the same restaurant, 3 teenagers come in. 2 girls, So-eun and Na-yoon, and a boy. Na-yoon and the boy have been bullying So-eun for a long time. Nearby, the building security guard, Choi Hyun-suk, is spending time with his younger sister, Choi Hyun-hee. She can't walk, so her wheelchair is everything to her, and he adores her. Then Officer Lee Bong-suk arrives to arrest Young-chul and walks into a nightmare. Several of his men are torn apart in front of him. He barely escapes, calls for backup, and screams at security to evacuate everyone they can. Se-jeong and Han step out into a stampede. They run with the crowd, and then Se-jeong sees Hyun-hee on the floor, thrown from her overturned chair. She goes back, and Han comes back for her. Outside, the police have already sealed the building and declared a quarantine. Nobody is coming out. Surrounded, they duck into a clothing store where Hyun-suk is already sheltering with his sister. As they pull the door shut, Se-jeong spots Officer Lee being chased, drags him in, and locks it. But the front wall is glass. The infected see straight through it and start slamming their heads into it. Lee backs away in terror, hits a switch, and the lights die. Instantly, the pounding stops. In the dark, they simply can't see anyone. Se-jeong understands. But the shop opposite is the restaurant, lights still on, the teenagers fully visible inside, and the whole swarm turns toward them. She starts flashing her phone light until Seoul notices, then types a message and holds it up. "Kill the lights." Seoul does, and the attack stops dead.
Then the restaurant's glass wall lights up on its own, an advertising display, full of human faces. They charge again, hammering it, and it won't hold much longer. That's when Se-jeong spots the life-size cardboard cutouts around the clothing shop. Hyun-yi offers her wheelchair. Her brother refuses, because without it she can't move at all. She tells him the truth. If they come for her, that chair won't save her anyway. Better it saves somebody. So they strap a cutout to the motorized chair, start music playing, and roll it into the corridor. They follow the moving human shape. The corridor empties, and everyone sprints across into the clothing shop. Everyone except Na-yoon, who panics and runs back. Han goes after her. He gets her out, but one catches them on the way. Na-yoon makes it. Han doesn't. He dives into another shop and buys time by throwing cutouts around as decoys. And meanwhile, the ones chasing the wheelchair have stopped. They've worked out that the cardboard isn't a person. Here's what's happening inside them. The virus produces a chemical, something like an ant's pheromone, and through it, they're all connected, passing information without a sound. When it happens, they freeze and stand up like antennas. At first, they moved on all fours. Now, copying the people around them, they've started walking upright. While Han distracts his pursuer, the group by the wheelchair broadcasts the truth to every other one in the building. Se-jeong watches them freeze and recognizes it instantly, because it's exactly what Kong's lecture was about. The hunter loses interest and goes looking for Han. Han slips out and runs for the shop. He almost makes it. One takes him at the door, then several more pile in, and Han is gone. His phone skitters into the shop, and Se-jeong picks it up. Ex-husband or not, it breaks something in her. She calls Gong and tells her that Han is dead. Inside, Hyun-suk straps a chair to his own back so he can carry his sister if they have to run. Everyone asks Lee when rescue is coming. Nobody is coming, he says. The building is quarantined. But there's a man inside named Young Chul who is the vaccine. Hand him over, and a team comes in. That's their only way out. And Se-jeong says she last saw him in Kong's office, 3rd floor.
The problem is the corridor. So Se-jeong offers an idea. Their system works like ants, and a colony fed false information walks in circles until it dies. Someone runs to the perfume shop and brings bottles back. They soak the cutouts in that perfume and coat themselves in a completely different scent. Se-jeong volunteers to go. Then an older man says he'll do it. Another man mocks his age, and the older man twists his arm until he yelps. He was an athlete once, and he's still faster than anyone here. They set up a group chat, because speaking out loud isn't always safe. He fights his way out and back, barely making it inside as the corridor fills. Se-jeong drenches every cutout, then pours a trail of perfume out the door and down the back corridor. Everyone coats themselves in a different liquid, opens the door, and stands absolutely still, exactly like the cutouts. A few come in and sniff them, then sniff the cutouts and can't tell the difference. Others catch the trail and follow it, convinced the runner escaped that way. Then they freeze, antennas up, sharing what they found. The group starts moving toward the elevator.
And then Nayoon stumbles into one of the frozen bodies and goes down underneath it. She can't push it off, and because they're locked mid-communication, she can't crawl out. Se-jeong holds a lighter under a fire detector. The alarm screams, sprinklers open, and the water snaps them all awake. Hyunsuk, sister on his back, fights them off to reach Nayoon while Se-jeong and Soon drag her free. Somehow they all make the elevator. The third floor is empty. Young-chul is exactly where Kang locked him, and Lee cuffs him and makes the arrest. Everyone wants to wait there. Lee says no. They have to reach the roof themselves because a helicopter is the only extraction possible. So they crowd back into the elevator. On the way up, Young-chul turns to the older man and asks with real curiosity how a man his age moves so fast. And while everyone listens to him talk, he presses a different floor button. The doors open on a floor completely full of them. They flood in and tear into everybody except Young-chul, who they don't touch. And while the others fight, he simply walks out through the middle of them. When the doors close, 7 are left. Se-jeong, Lee, Hyunsuk, Hyun-hee, Nayoon, Soon, and one other man.
The top floor isn't clear either, and these ones do something new. They watch Young-suk carrying his sister, and they start copying it, carrying each other, mimicking. They shut the doors and think. Without Young-chul, nobody comes, but the building is enormous. Then it clicks. There's a control room with cameras covering every floor, and Young-suk knows exactly where it is. Basement level 2. Outside, the news has the story, and families of the trapped gather at the barricade, demanding their people back alive. Reporters dig into Young-chul's past. His father was a researcher accused of stealing a student's work, and the shame drove him to take his own life. Everyone assumes this is revenge. Gong doesn't sit still with her grief. Police have seized the abandoned building where Young-chul secretly built his lab, and she leads a team of professors inside once it's cleared. Among the equipment are rows of glass jars, each marked with a serial number, each holding a monkey, frozen perfectly still. Gong looks into their eyes and realizes they're alive, infected. He tested this on animals before he ever tested it on himself. Then she notices one jar is broken and empty. That one attacks. Every other jar shatters at once. Bullets barely slow them. Then, abruptly, they stop, regrouping rather than surrendering. As Gung turns to leave, one lunges at her, and the whole group comes with it. Someone strikes that one down hard, and it dies, and instantly every monkey in the room freezes. Gung checks the tag. Number 1. On the wall is a chart showing how the entire colony grew from that single animal. Kill the first host, and the rest shut down. She takes it straight to the military base outside the Doongwoori building. Inside, the group reaches the basement garage, where these ones are mimicking Young-suk and his sister too. They almost make it clean, until Na-yoon kicks a can across the concrete. Heads turn. Soon grabs her and hauls her onto a car roof, out of sight. They reach the control room. On the monitors, they find Young-chul on another floor, walking among them untouched. Then they watch him approach Kung, hold out his arm, and ask to be bitten. Kung bites. Young-chul drops with symptoms spreading through him, and Kung and every other one in the room go limp and still. This is the moment. Go now or never.
Hyun-hee says she'll stay. Going along only slows everyone down. But from here, she can watch the cameras and message the safest route floor by floor. Her brother refuses to leave her until she tells him to come back for her with Young-chul. So, they leave her there. The frozen bodies don't stay frozen. The second anyone touches Young-chul, the whole floor comes alive, and they fight into a room and lock it. Se-jeong notices Young-chul staring at them, his eyes clouding over, and outside, a few stop right at their door. He's broadcasting their position, so she blindfolds him and tells everyone to stop speaking and use the group chat only. They move along Hyun-hee's route. Then, at the kitchen, Lee stops. Why risk going back down to the basement at all? Take Young-chul to the roof and leave. Yeon Suk understands exactly what that means and attacks him, but Lee has the gun. And the instant Lee says the words "control room" out loud, Young Chul hears it and broadcasts it. They don't know which one, so they search, and one of them traces Hyun-hee's location. The information spreads, and every single one of them turns toward her. Hyun-suk takes a knife and runs, calling his sister to guide him along a clear path. But outside her door, the corridor is already full, and the glass won't hold. So she lies to him. She sends him to an elevator that doesn't even reach the basement. Then she says goodbye. Moments later, they're through, and Hyun-hee is gone. Hyun-suk breaks. He messages the group. His sister couldn't get out, so nobody gets out. And he's going to kill Young Chul himself. Se-jeong tries to turn everyone back toward the control room. Lee puts the gun in her face, and she goes quiet. They follow the last safe route Hyun-hee ever sent them. And because Young Chul is blind and nobody is speaking, the swarm loses them completely. Hyun-suk walks into the open and starts killing anything in front of him. He reaches a second control room, finds the group on camera, and switches on the advertising displays on their floor so Young Chul will know where they are. Young Chul reads the room and passes it on.
One reaches Lee, and Lee shoots it in the head. This from the same man who insisted these people were patients who must not be harmed. When the rest come down the corridor, Lee tells the last remaining man to run, then shoots him in the leg, clamps a hand over Young Chul's mouth, and locks himself in a room. Bait. Let them eat the wounded man while he escapes with the vaccine. Se-jeong pulls the two girls behind another door, but when Lee peeks out, they're ignoring the wounded man entirely and staring at his door instead. The man begs Lee to save him, but Lee only cares about Lee. He beats several down with a stick, and then dozens more come. He tries to run, and the wounded man grabs his ankle, pleading. Lee beats him too. It doesn't matter. They take them both. And while the swarm is busy, Se-jeong moves Young Chul and the girls to another room. At the military base, Gong presents her findings to the commissioner and the minister. She tells them plainly that nobody infected can be saved because their nervous systems are destroyed and they're already brain dead. The families outside will never accept that, so the minister asks Gong as a victim's wife herself to face the press afterward and say killing them was the only option. Sympathy might quiet the protest. The cameras confirmed the first infected was Kang-woo Chul, and the order goes out.
In the room, Se-jeong keeps the girls silent and on the group chat. With Young Chul in hand, a rescue team will come, but the only way to reach them is Lee's phone, so she leaves the girls to guard him and goes out to get it. Lee has already turned. He sees her message on the screen and lies still like a corpse. Se-jeong calls the commissioner and reports their position. He splits the operation, one team to kill Kang and one to extract the survivors. But Lee heard every word, and the teams arrive to find the entrances blocked.
In the room, Na-yoon is shaking. She asks So-eun how she can sit so calmly, and So-eun says it's because Na-yoon already made her life worse than this. Na-yoon apologizes for everything she did. Then, a knock. We're the rescue team. Open up. They open it. It isn't the rescue team. They're getting smarter by the hour, and despite the apology, Na-yoon saves herself again. She shoves So-eun toward them, and So-eun turns. One of them unties Young Chul's blindfold, and he leaves Na-yoon to So-eun and walks out with the rest. At the base, everyone watches the helmet cameras. One team is wiped out. The other reaches Kong and kills him, and nothing stops. The whole rescue team dies. Gong's theory has failed publicly, and the Rome turns on her while they watch the swarm following Young Chul like a leader.
Se-jeong never makes it back. She shelters in a showroom, and Young Chul arrives there with a few of them. Then Yeon Sang comes, cutting through them, hunting him. Se-jeong watches from cover and sees something extraordinary. They lose track of Yeon Sang-ho even while he's standing in plain sight because he's drenched in their own saliva. Young-chul has to point him out before they attack again. Se-jeong lunges and gets a cord around Young-chul's throat. He's seconds from death when he calls them and they abandon Yeon Sang-ho and chew the cord off his neck. Yeon Sang-ho finds Se-jeong and attacks her because to him everyone in that group killed his sister. He nearly finishes her. Then he sees Young-chul running and lets her go, catches him and starts beating him. And Young-chul points behind him. Hyun-hee is walking on her own 2 feet. It's the only thing he ever wanted for her, and he stands there overwhelmed, staring. She puts a knife into his chest, because that isn't Hyun-hee anymore. Se-jeong arrives, and the last piece falls into place. Kang never sent that invitation. Young-chul did, because the student whose complaint destroyed his father was her. She assumes this was revenge. He says it wasn't. He watched his father fail to make her understand his point of view, and that failure gave him an idea. Build something that connects every human being, so nobody is ever misunderstood again. Everything in this building is that idea, working exactly as designed. He leaves her to them and walks away. She barricades herself in. A few surviving soldiers arrive, take Young-chul, see she's alive, and leave her behind anyway. She makes it into a room and bolts it, and they start breaking the door down while everyone at the base watches on camera and says nothing. Gong walks out to her car and calls Han's number because Se-jeong still has his phone. She apologizes and explains that killing Kang did nothing, even though it worked on the monkeys. And Se-jeong gives her the answer. The alpha isn't Kang anymore. It's Young-chul. Kill him and it ends. Gong says nobody will believe her now, but she'll try once more. They don't. They've decided Young-chul is their only hope. He isn't. The soldiers escorting him are attacked on his order, and the ones who turn carry him to the roof themselves. Nobody outside can tell because they're all wearing helmets. They rope down another side of the building, kill the guards below, and drive him out along the approved route, so nothing looks wrong. Then Young-chul hears the radio. A crowd has gathered at the front of the Doongwoori building and can't be moved. He turns the car around, attacks the crowd, then pulls the barricade aside himself so everything inside can pour out. The minister orders the base evacuated.
Se-jeong gets out of that room. She remembers the saliva, finds a jacket soaked in their blood and fluid, puts it on, and walks out of the building completely unseen. Outside, she calls Gong and asks her to find Young-chul. Gong goes back to the base alone, pulls the cameras, and gives her the location. Se-jeong takes a car and drives it straight at him. He calls them onto her vehicle and forces her out, then tells them to attack whoever is wearing that jacket. So she throws the jacket onto one of them and walks away. The entire swarm converges on that single body and starts circling it, round and round. They don't see Young-chul. They don't see Se-jeong. False information. And the colony spirals, exactly like ants. He shouts orders, and nothing reaches them. So he pushes into the middle and rips the jacket off. Every one of them collapses, and when they stand again, they're on all fours. Whatever intelligence they had is gone, which gives her one last idea. At the very beginning, they attacked pictures of people, and there's a bus nearby with human faces printed on its side. She grabs Young-chul and drags him toward it. They follow, drawn by him and by the faces. She leaves him there and rolls under the bus. They swarm the images in a frenzy. Young-chul goes down in the crush, and beside him, a car is burning. He's shoved into it and catches fire. Even burning, he comes for her, and she knocks him away with a stick. Then, something remarkable. Every one of them starts to feel what he feels, the whole colony writhing in his pain. And the moment Young-chul dies, all of them freeze, exactly where they stand. Morning comes.
The sky lightens over the city. Se-jeong calls Gong. She says the trouble is only starting for her now, because everyone will believe young Chul was the vaccine and she destroyed it. It isn't true. They were brain dead from the start, but she'll be the one blamed. Gong promises to speak for her, and Se-jeong tells her not to. She has always been alone. A little more won't change anything. And just as they let themselves breathe, one of them opens its eyes. So is it really over? Or is this about to spill out of one building and into an entire city? If that happens, what chance does anyone have? We'll have to wait for part 2 to find out. That's all for today. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.